All right. We are live. Welcome everyone to, I believe this is episode 18 of DG Weekly Live. Crazy. 18 weeks of reviewing discs and talking with you guys and hanging out with you. So we will let some people get in here. This week we're going to be talking about the Warrant. The Warrant is an understable mid-range. It's no longer our most understable mid-range, but it is still an understable mid-range. Let's see, what's up, Ryan? Hey, Dad. Steven, how you doing? Kevin. Debbie hanging out again. Awesome. Brandon says, all I see is the Warrant. Brandon, now all you see is me and a bunch of warrants. We're going to get talking about those. As always, we are doing a giveaway for this pink one right here. This is the one that I threw. This is the one that you will see in all of the clips. We'll go ahead and play those for you really quick. That is one that we're going to be giving away. To enter into that giveaway, we are all you have to do is like the stream, share the stream, and then leave a question or a comment down in the chat below, and that's how we'll go ahead and enter you. At the end of the show, we will pick someone from the chat, and that person will be our winner for this sweet Lucid Warrant. For everyone that doesn't win, because unfortunately the vast majority of people can't win, we only have one winner. For everyone that doesn't win, we are going to be giving 15% off on all Lucid Warrants and all Fusion Burst Warrants. Hopefully you guys can still hear me, because that makes it seem like you can't. Okay, sorry. If you couldn't hear me there, sorry. I see a pink warrant. I need a pink warrant in my bag, Jeff says. But for everyone else, the coupon code for 15% off on the Lucid Warrants and the Fusion Burst Warrants is going to be Warrant15. And that's going to save you 15%, so you can get some really big savings and some really big Anheuser shots. Good audio. Okay, perfect. Thanks. I was getting a little warning there, but we're good now. Brandon says he can see the video. Awesome. So yes, we are giving away this Lucid Warrant right here, and then Warrant 15 will save you 15% on Lucid Warrants as well as Fusion Burst Warrants. And look at this guy. This one's pretty sweet. So there are obviously Fusion Burst and then Lucid Warrants. The one that's super, super cool are these Prime Burst. These things came out super good. They're really, really flat. The Warrant itself is a relatively flat disc, but these Prime ones are like board flat on top. So they're going to be what I would guess to be a little bit more stable at the beginning, but because of the Prime plastic, they are going to beat in a little bit faster, and they are going to become that much more understable. A fresh Warrant is never going to be, no matter the plastic, it's never going to be a hyzer disc. It's never going to be an overstable disc unless you are brand new. It is an understable disc. It is a speed 5, glide 5, so mid-range speed, very accurate in terms of the speed rating. 5 glide, I think, again, nailed it. It does have a lot of glide because it is that understable disc. It does just want to float. It wants to keep carrying. And then what really indicates the flight on this thing is a turn of -2 and a fade of 0. So using those numbers, you can tell that this is a very understable disc. Tons and tons of glide, not the fastest disc. This is going to be used for control shots, accurate shots, and things that you need to flip a lot, things that you need to turn over, things that you need to get through a gap and not fade out at the end. That is going to, that is what you're going to want to use this for. Jeff says 15% is a great deal for all of you who didn't win, implying that he already won, but not so quick to the jump there, Jeff. It's possible. You have just as good a chance as anyone else. Mitch says, how do you compare it to a Tarsus? The Tarsus is the understable mid-range from Westside, and they are very similar. For me, in my testing with both discs, very, very similar flights, very similar results. I think the Tarsus might have a little bit more glide, but I feel like the Warrant is a little bit more it's a little bit more consistent in the turn, if that makes any sense. You're going to get, no matter what, I felt like I was getting the exact same amount of turn out of a out of the Warrant, where I felt like the Tarsus gave me just a little bit more glide, a little bit more distance, but very, very similar for sure. If you throw a Tarsus, you can throw the Warrant on the exact same lines, absolutely. So let's see, like I said in the beginning, we do have a bunch of new people in here right now. We are giving away this pink Lucid Warrant. To enter into that, just like the stream, share the stream, and then leave a question for me in the chat. And then at the end of the show, we'll go ahead and we'll go through the chat and we will find someone who had a good question, or maybe what we've done in the past, we've had people guess numbers. So that is what we're going to be doing for that. That is how we will figure that one out. Jonathan says, how does it compare to the Patrol? So those of you who don't know, the Patrol was the mid-range for the 2018 Trilogy Challenge, and it is very understable. The Warrant is understable, the Patrol is very understable. The Patrol is noticeably more understable than the Warrant, in my opinion. Both are very understable. I believe the Patrol has a -3 for a turn, where the Warrant has a -2. So similar, but the Patrol is definitely more understable for sure. Roger Henry has one and throws it a mile. Lots of glide. Yes, absolutely, Jeff. These things hyzer flip super easily and glide forever. Matthew says, does this disc really warrant its own video? Matthew, I like the jokes, man. I like it. Great understable disc, Justin says. Compared to an Evidence, how do they both compare, asks Aaron. The Warrant is definitely more understable, and like I was talking about compared to the Tarsus, the Warrant is very consistently understable. It wasn't like how some understable discs get really squirrely, excuse me, and they will, if you give them just a little bit too much power, they'll flip all the way over and cut roll on you. And if you give them just a little bit too much hyzer, they'll be like almost a hyzer disc. It'll kind of flip up to flat and go straight. Where the Warrant, I felt like I was getting exactly what I expected every time. I was getting exactly what I wanted. Where the Evidence kind of has a little bit of that if you don't quite put enough power on it. If you put a little bit too much hyzer on it, it's going to stand up and go really straight. But if you're wanting it to be that like hyzer flip to turnover disc, I think you're going to be a little bit better suited with the Warrant. The Evidence is more similar to the regular Truth, where the Warrant is definitely more understable than that for sure. It's a much more hyzer flip-able, hyzer flip-able, something like that. Nathan says, less stable than a Fuse. Yeah, a little bit. I feel like the Fuse and the Evidence for me have been pretty similar. The Fuse being a little bit more understable than the Evidence. So yeah, it's close to a Warrant, but I would give the Fuse just a tick more stability maybe. Phil says, thanks Anthony, how does it compare to a Prime Fuse? Well, we just answered that one for you there, Phil. Ryan says, can you put a little hyzer on the Warrant and make it stand up? Absolutely, Ryan, that is the best way to throw this thing. Give it some hyzer and room to work. Give it some air, let that glide really shine, and you're just gonna get a long hyzer flip and it's gonna turn over. In these clips here, we'll play them again for you. In these clips, you can see that some of them, like this first one here, was in a super strong tailwind. Excuse me, it was in a really strong tailwind, and so you could see that it stood up and went straight. Whereas this one here is coming back into that headwind, and it's getting a lot more turn, a lot more carry. So it's not like this disc is unthrowably understable. It's not like you are limited to one shot with, or something like the Patrol is very understable. And you're really gonna get the same flight out of it almost no matter what you do. You're going to get a hyzer flip and turn out of a Patrol, where the Warrant is very, you can shape more shots with it. I think it's a little bit more versatile because it's not as understable. For someone like me, someone of my arm speed, I can get more shots with it. I can get more shot variety, we'll say. I can cover more with it. So I prefer the Warrant to the Patrol, but the Patrol is going to be much more understable if that's what you're looking for. Miguel says, how does it feel in the hand? It's super comfortable. It is a beadless disc, I would say. I'll go ahead and show you the rim here. We'll use this one because it's a super sweet, like purple, bluish, reddish. You can see there, it's a fairly shallow rim. It's not super, super deep. And then just nice, really rounded edges. So it's going to fit anybody's grip, anybody's hand. Really, really nice. This is I don't want to call it a beginner-only disc because it's not. It's a very beginner-friendly disc. So very rounded, smooth edges, not a huge bead, not a super deep disc, very, very comfortable in the hand for really anybody, honestly. You're not going to have any trouble gripping this thing. Excuse me. What's up, Anthony? Hey, Andrew, how's it going? How does this rate to the Patrol, Andrew? Somebody asked that earlier. The Patrol is definitely more understable. Both are understable discs, but the Patrol is definitely more understable for sure. Forrest wants to know, how does it compare to the Axiom Theory? Forrest, I'm not sure. I've never thrown one of those, unfortunately, and I don't really know anything about it. So I couldn't tell you for sure on that one. I'm sorry. Hopefully somebody in the chat will know, and they can answer that for you. So if anybody knows about the theory, let Forrest know. Brandon says, what pro throws the Warrant? I want to say Ron Converse does. I know he really likes that understable stuff. He used to be throwing the Tarsus a lot, and I know he was really excited about the Patrol, but I want to say that he also throws a Warrant as well. Don't quote me on that, but I believe Ron Converse throws a Warrant in his bag. William says, I throw the Impact for understable mid. Is this more flippy? William, again, similar to Forrest, I have never thrown one of those, unfortunately, so I do not know. So if anyone knows about the Impact, let William, I believe his name was, let William know. I apologize. Jeff says it'll do that if you have Anthony's perfect form. If you have Anthony's perfect form, you do not have perfect form. You and I both have things to work on if you're throwing like me. Mainly consistency is my biggest issue. Erica says, how is it compared to the Compass? So Erica, the Compass is a super straight out-of-the-box flyer. Not a lot of turn, not a lot of fade. The Warrant is a very understable disc out of the box. It is going to be a lot of turn. It's going to have a very understable flight. And it's not going to have much fade, but it will have a noticeable amount of turn compared to the Compass. You could definitely have both in your bag. Personally, I have a Verdict that's it's beat up and it flies similar to a Compass, and I also have a Warrant for things that I want to throw a hyzer flip on, or things where I need it to hold over more, where a Compass will kind of fight out at the end. The Warrant will, it'll definitely not. It will almost finish to the right, where the Compass is going to finish out to the left. So very different discs there, Erica. You could definitely fit both in your bag. Debbie asks for Virginia, how does it compare to the Gavel? I would say it's similar, but just heavier. The Gavel, because it is so much lighter, is going to be a little bit more understable, a little bit more like the Patrol. The Warrant would be a fantastic step up for Virginia. If she's throwing the Gavel right now, absolutely get one of these Warrants in her hands. I truly, truly think she will love it. It will be a really, really good disc for younger kids like that. For people who don't know, Virginia is on the Dynamic Discs junior team. So let's see. Andrew says, which of these beauties are you giving away, Andrew? That is this Lucid Warrant right here. And for anyone that's just now joining the stream, we are giving away this one. The way to do that is like the stream, share the stream, and then leave a comment or question for me down in the chat. And then at the end of the show, we will go through the chat, we will go through the comments, and we will pick one, or maybe we'll have you guess a number or something like that. So that is when we will do that. We will give away at the very end of the show. Excuse me, I just got something stuck in my throat this week. I apologize. But for those of you who do not win the giveaway, we are running a 15% off code all week until the next episode on Lucid Warrants, such as this one. Or you know what? This one's just so pretty. Look at that. I hope it shows up on camera as well as it does in person. It's like, it's listed as purple, but the edges are like a real deep navy, and then the center is like a red, almost burst. Super sweet disc. So Lucid and the Fusion Burst Warrants are going to be 15% off with the coupon code WARRANT15. And that again is going to be running from now. It's already live up until midnight Central Time, Tuesday of next week, the 16th, I believe it is, at midnight Central Time. And again, that's Warrant 15. Melvin says Tina throws it as well. Absolutely, Tina does throw the Warrant really, really well. Kyle says the theory is more stable. There we go. Steven says better in the woods than most. Absolutely, Steven. It might be a little bit more understable than typical woods discs are things like the Maverick. Maybe a regular Truth would be a little bit more kind of just that like hyzer flip to straight shot, where the Warrant is going to be a hyzer flip to turn. Fantastic woods disc, but when people say kind of a stereotypical woods disc, they're kind of a little bit more stable. But yes, the Warrant would be fantastic. Tom says, how does it compare to the Fugitive? Well, for one, we still produce Warrants. The Fugitive and the Evidence were pretty similar for me. The Fugitive, a little bit more stable. So the Warrant is definitely going to be more understable. Beadless, a very different rim shape. The Fugitive had a very concave curve to the bottom, where the Warrant is pretty flat, pretty smooth, and then again, no bead at the bottom. Josh says, I bag a Warrant for a long time now. Hyzer flip it, and wow, so nice. It's my go-to turnover disc along with my Deputy. Yeah, and he said it's his turnover disc along with the Deputy. I think that is a really good reference point. If you throw a Deputy, the Warrant flies just like that, but probably 50 to 70 feet farther. It is very similar stability-wise, but just faster, a little bit farther. It's basically a Deputy in mid-range form. So if you love the Deputy, like I know a lot of people do, that is a fantastic disc. If you love the Deputy and you just need a little bit more stability, or excuse me, a little bit more speed, the Warrant is definitely your way to go for sure. Beat it in, and it's a mid-range roller, Jeff says. Absolutely. For some, the higher arm speeds are going to get rollers out of the bag, or excuse me, out of the box. Well, I guess out of the bag too, because you're probably not walking around the course with a box. But the higher arm speeds will get a fresh Warrant to roll. But then you can't say patroller. So if you're going to throw mid-range rollers, use a patrol for sure. John says, how does it compare to a Maverick? It is slower and more understable for sure. The Maverick is a fairway driver, and the Warrant is a mid-range. In terms of fairway drivers that it's similar to, I would say something like a Breakout, but in max weight. It's not a lightweight disc. It's a full weight. It goes up to 180, but it's just a mid-range, where the Breakout is a fairway driver. Tom wants to know, would you compare it to a Latitude 64 Pain? It's basically like a mirror image of the Pain. It's the complete opposite. The Pain is kind of straight to overstable. The Warrant is straight to understable. So if you were to throw a Pain on a sidearm, you'd get a similar shot to the Warrant on a backhand. In terms of a Latitude disc, I think the fuse is pretty close. The rim is a little bit smaller on the fuse. It almost feels like a small putter, where the Warrant feels like a mid-range. So if you don't like the feel of the fuse, but you want that flight, I think the Warrant is a really good option for that as well. JD just says, pick me. JD, possibly. I was trying to think of something that rhymed with JD, but that was as best I could do on the spot. Sorry. Al says, recommend a bright one if you're using your Warrant for woods and sneaking around corners. Joshua says, Warrant is like a fuse. Yeah. Those bursts are nice, says Gnome Tot. Yeah. The prime bursts are cool. Super bursty. But what's really, really cool are these fusion burst Warrants. Because with the coupon code Warrant15, these are going to be 15% off from now all the way until Tuesday. So you've got 6 days to pick up your own Fusion Burst or Lucid Warrant and save yourself a few dollars. There's another one. Look at that. It's like purplish, pinkish. This one doesn't show up on camera almost at all. That's kind of a bummer, because this one's real pretty. I like that one a lot. Let's go ahead and check out those clips again. These are with the pink Lucid Warrant that we're going to be giving away at the end of the show. So be sure to like the stream, share the stream, and then leave a question for me in the chat. And that is how we're going to go ahead and pick the winner at the end of the episode for this pink Lucid Warrant. The Warrant does easy what I would get out. Sorry, Melvin says the Warrant does easy what I would get the Tarsus to do. So yeah, Melvin, someone asked earlier about the Tarsus. Very similar discs, but it sounds like Melvin is experiencing similar things to me, where the Warrant is just a little bit more consistent, where it gives you the same amount of turn every time. Someone was asking about the evidence, where I feel like that has a little bit of the same thing that the Tarsus has, where if you give it just a little bit too much hyzer, it's going to fly super, super straight, which is a great shot to have, but for something like an understable mid, I want it to be understable. I want it to consistently flip over, even if I give it a little bit too much hyzer, even if I don't get quite enough power on it. And I feel like the Warrant just does that better. I feel like the Warrant just wants to turn over. It wants to get right, and it wants to carry down the fairways. So I absolutely love the Warrant. This is definitely my go-to understable mid-range. Things like the Patrol would make a great option if this is a little bit too much for you, if you're newer to the game. Like, I know my mom uses the Warrant a lot for straight shots, so if she needed something that would just turn a little bit more, then the Patrol would be great. And if you wanted something that would turn a little bit less, then that's where something like the Truth would come in handy. A little bit more stability than the Warrant will give you. How forgiving is the Warrant versus the Tarsus, Debbie says. Kind of exactly what I was just talking about, Debbie. I think the Warrant is definitely more forgiving than the Tarsus. The Tarsus just seems to be a little bit more nose sensitive, where the Warrant just wants to turn over. That's what it wants to do. Sometimes, like a felon, it wants to fade. It wants to go left. The Warrant, I feel like, is the opposite. It just wants to stay in the air. It wants to glide. It wants to just turn right. It's like a bird. It just wants to fly, man. Just let it fly. Jeff says, I think the Warrant wants to be in my bag. How understable is the Warrant compared to an EMAC Truth, Zachary asks. Zachary, if you're new to the stream, someone was asking about the compass. The compass is very similar to the EMAC, where it's going to be very straight out of your hand, where the Warrant is going to want to turn a lot. They make absolutely fantastic complements to each other. The EMAC or compass being your straight flying mid-range, and then the Warrant being your hyzer flip, your understable flying mid-range. They complement each other super, super well. But as far as similarities go, there really aren't a whole lot. They're very different, and you could very easily, and I would strongly recommend having the Warrant and an EMAC in your bag for sure. John says, does it work well overhead? Wow. You know, John, you have me stumped, because I have never tried that. If you are an overhead player, if you don't win the giveaway, use the coupon code WARRANT15 and then come back next week and let me know, because I'm curious, but I have no idea. I've thrown about 10 overhead shots in my entire life. It just hurts my shoulder, and I have never once done it with an understable mid-range. That is just not a shot in my bag. Nicholas says, I love giving discs to new players, and I have already given this disc to someone this year. It would be great to have another one to give to someone new. Nicholas, first of all, awesome, dude. Love that you're out there doing that. That is a great way to grow disc golf. That's a great way to grow the sport. That's how I would argue the vast majority of disc golfers started, was someone said, hey man, let's go play. Let's try this out. I heard it's fun. Someone who plays, someone who introduced you to the sport. So that is absolutely awesome of you, Nicholas. Way to go on that. And yes, fantastic disc choice to give to new players. One of the best discs in the Dynamic Discs lineup, in my opinion, to give to a new player. It's going to be very consistent, very straight flying, and very easy to throw. Josh says, I dig the lightweight hoodie you have on. I have the same. It's smooth. Josh, yes it is. I have this one, and then my girlfriend is wearing the red one today. It's called the In-Flight lightweight hoodie or something like that. This is the In-Flight logo. Look them up on the website. They are super, super comfortable and like perfect for fall weather. Because I don't know about you guys, but here in Emporia, we are in full-on fall, and it is full-on perfect. I absolutely love it. And then just having some lightweight hoodies like this to go with it is great. Erica says, I want one. I'm a new player. Erica, that is awesome. Welcome to Disc Golf. Thanks for tuning into the stream and checking out Dynamic Discs. The Warrant is a really good disc. If you don't get picked to win the giveaway, you definitely need to use the code Warrant15 and pick one of these things up. It will be a great disc for you, I promise. You can tell people that I said that. John, I throw the Patrol Tomahawk and it does great. I would assume this does as well. Andrew says, thanks, Andrew, because that is just a shot I have never once even thought about trying. So I'm glad somebody out there has a little bit of experience with it. Ryan says, I started playing with the Frisbee 22 years ago before I knew what a disc golf disc was. Ryan, that's because disc golf discs were barely a thing 22 years ago. I was barely a thing 22 years ago. I was 3 years old. Not relevant to disc golf, but it's relevant to the show. Jeremy says, I have a Warrant great glide on this baby with a tailwind. Jeremy, yes. Speaking of great glides with a tailwind, check out this first clip. This was with a real strong, probably 20 mile an hour tailwind. Threw it on hyzer, stood up straight. Look at that, no fade, just goes forever. If I buy this, will I get an ace? Kyle, absolutely. All you have to do is buy one and then throw it into the basket, and you will get an ace, I promise. Tom says, I also bag a Gobi, which is a way underrated disc, especially off the tee. The Gobi is an underrated disc by everyone not named Tom and AJ Risley, apparently, because Tom loves it and everyone knows AJ loves this thing. Chelsea says, Hank, this is the one I just picked up. Chelsea, fantastic choice. Hank, you got to try one out too, it seems like. Nice throw. Thank you, Forrest. Cheers. Kyle Webster in the house. Kyle does not throw a Warrant. He throws the Tarsus because West Side. But if Kyle did not throw a Tarsus, I bet you he would throw a Warrant. And if that's not enough to convince you to try a Warrant, I really don't know what is. What up, Andy? What up, John? How you doing, man? Thanks for checking out the stream. We are getting close-ish to our half-hour time limit. So, how should we decide this giveaway winner? I have an idea. So, last chance to get into the giveaway. Like the stream, share the stream, and then leave your question or comment for me in the chat below. And then in just a second, we are going to go through and pick a winner. But if you do not win, that's okay. You can still be a winner, sort of. You can save, or you can win 15% savings on dynamicdiscs.com using the coupon code Warrant15, and that will apply to both Lucid Warrants as well as Fusion Burst Warrants. And that's active already, so even if you win and you want to pick up another one, you can do that. And that will run all the way until midnight Central Time, Tuesday the 16th. So you have a whole week to save 15% on your Warrants if you don't win. Let's see, how does it compare to the Patrol? Keenan, it is a little bit more stable, but it is still very much an understable mid-range. Julio says, what is the best mid for really tight woods? Julio, the Warrant is a great option. The Truth is a great option. It really is going to depend on your arm speed. Anything from the Warrant up to an EMAC Truth is what I would say. Just depends on your arm speed. If you can hyzer flip an EMAC Truth out of the box, go with that. If the Warrant is a hyzer flip disc that goes straight for you out of the box, do that. And then anything in between, I would go with just a stock run Truth. Burst versus Lucid, Kyle asks. I did not notice a difference, Kyle. I really didn't. The Lucid might be a little bit more stable out of the box, but not a lot. Very, very similar discs for sure. Kyle says, how far can you grenade the Warrant, Anthony? Oh, gosh. 20 feet. I can get it high, but it's just not going to go very far. I am not good at throwing grenades, but I would be willing to try. William says, apparently I'm the only one who throws an impact. No one chimed in. Dang it. Sorry, William. The numbers on the Warrant are a speed 5, glide 5, turn -2, and a fade of 0. I think those numbers are super accurate. So if that helps give you some sort of an indication, I hope that helps. But unfortunately, I have never thrown one of those. I don't know anything about them, so I I can't answer that. Sorry for that one. Kyle just says huge. Yeah, you know me, just dropping bombs, just throwing grenades from Circle's Edge. That's pretty much my game. Sid says, I would like to try the Warrant. Is it similar to a Truth, Sid? It is definitely more understable than a Truth, but similar distance, similar glide, similar speed, but very, very much more understable. The Truth is going to kind of hyzer flip to flat and then finish out, where the Warrant is going to hyzer flip to flat and then almost finish to the right, because it is a lot more understable. I believe the Truth has a -1 for a turn, where the Warrant has a -2. So that's kind of the difference there, is going to be in the high-speed turn for sure. All right. I feel like that's been time for people to get their questions in. It is time to go ahead and pick a winner for this giveaway. And the way that we're going to do it this time, we've had people pick numbers and then I've picked a comment with that number, but I think this time I'm going to pick the number and then you guys have to guess that number. So there are, let's see, just under 60 people watching this. So we will do a number 1 through 60 that I have in my head, and then the first person to guess that number is going to win this pink Lucid Warrant. And for those of you who don't, and I'm going to give you a hint, those of you who don't win can use the coupon code WARRANT15 to save 15% off on Lucid and Fusion Burst warrants from right now all the way until midnight Central Time on Tuesday the 16th. Midnight Central Time. Nobody yet. I see lots of numbers coming in, but nobody yet. Again, that coupon code is WARRANT15. So we'll see if anybody can get the number that I'm thinking of. It's a number between 1 and 60. So there's quite the range there. But I bet somebody... All right. Ryan Pearson. Ryan got it. Roy, good try. You also got it. But Ryan Pearson, go ahead and send a message to the Dynamic Discs Facebook page. The number was 15, guys. Warrant 15. I said I was going to give you a hint. It's not going to be that easy next week. So, Ryan Pearson, go ahead and send your address to the Dynamic Discs Facebook page, and I will get this sent out to you. The rest of you, obviously, coupon code WARRANT15. Save yourself some money. Get the easiest, most, bestest hyzer flip mid-range disc. Also, I didn't even mention, but if you struggle throwing sidearms and you really just can only throw backhands, you can throw sidearms. You can throw sidearm lines on a backhand throw with this disc. If that's confusing, you can throw the same shot with a backhand if you throw a Warrant. Super, super good for that. So congratulations to Ryan. Everyone else, coupon code WARRANT15. We will catch you guys all next week, where we will have another giveaway and a whole nother review. So we're going to check out those clips. We're going to get out of here. And then we'll see everyone again next Wednesday for another episode. Thanks for watching.